Hi, everyone. Uh, if you're like me, you might be feeling a bit worn out, tired at this stage of the term. It's it's a big term. Uh, you guys are taking 6 courses during a pandemic, all remote. That's just really absolutely really tough. Um, so, I mean, yeah, I mean it's hard. It's hard on everyone, and it makes course delivery more difficult. It makes all sorts of things more difficult. Um, so I can't say anything other than I understand uh, some of the problems and some of the frustrations you have. But I want to talk right now. I'll get back to that at the end with some course feedback. I'll talk about where we are and where we're going right now. Um, so, sort of important lecture material for me to cover is to go over forms and rails. But I will admit to you that that's not admitting, it's the reality, which is, as you can see, the three homeworks, homework 6, 7, and 8, have really had a lot of content for you to look at, absorb, read, and understand. What I'm covering in lecture about forms and rails is in the homework from, six, particular homework 6 and homework 8. So the lectures are absolutely to complement, to help you understand things, but it's also written up there. And likewise, there's a lot of books that are available to you. I've recommended ones in those homeworks. I think those can be extremely useful to learn from, as well as what I have written and what I will provide here in lecture. So that's where we're at. Um, that's the key material. That's the end of the key material that I want to cover in uh, Rails for MSCI 245. In MSCI 342, we'll talk about many more things, but in particular in 342, we really get heavily into how can we do automated testing. All right, that's a really big part. We also start off the term with how to actually build these multi-user web apps that you're so used to, that have authorization and authentication and that sort of good stuff. So people log in with passwords and you deal with these people. So we're going to cover that sort of stuff in 342. Um, so that's that lecture material. Let's look at some of the other things that are going on right now as well. You're busy working on homework 8 right now, due on Thursday. Of course, there's an extended deadline for those of you who are going to take that. Um, then following that up is test 2, and so this is your chance to try to delve into the material that we've been covering. This test 2 will be cumulative, okay? In particular with performance on test 1, I'm absolutely going, you're going to need to know your database things and so forth and so on. But yeah, I really, when I look at test 2, I mean, the big thing that jumps out, of course, is, let's talk about ERD. Okay, let's talk about our entity relationship diagramming. You just got back homework 5, a wide range of performance on those entity relationship diagrams. Lexa took a very detailed approach to give you feedback on those so that you can learn from them. So it's just such an important skill, and it's one of those key aspects of why this course is software design. It's how do we figure out how to organize data in a database to support an application and the functionality we need in that application. Anyway, so there's going to be ERD, and of course that means we'll also be dealing with SQL again, and we'll certainly be dealing with Rails and can't do Rails without Ruby. So those end up being the big topics to be covered. So yeah, we'll have test two. Um, you know, I know I I know students feel like, well, wait a minute, you said you could get it done in 3 hours. I said actually you could get it done in 1 hour, and you're like you're full of it. Again, as I expressed in the Campus Wire post, I really think that there's several factors at play here. I think online changes the way that we perceive things. It feels everything is reactive often. Oh, it comes in and now I'll do it and things like that. Likewise, oh, it's open book. I'm here. I've got Google. He says I can use Google. I can use any of this stuff. I just can't cheat by, talking to people and getting help from other people. Okay, well, can I get myself to really study like a normal closed book exam? And the answer is probably you feel like, oh, no. You're tired, you're exhausted, it's a pandemic. And so you're like, what the heck? The exam's going to happen. I'll take it. I'll have these resources and I'll just plow through it. And he's given us 3 hours for what he says is an hour-long exam. And then you're like, crikeys, I don't know what to do on this question. What does he want? That's where, unfortunately, the studying as preparation for, if it had been a closed book exam, really makes a big difference, in my opinion. Open book, the only time open book is a huge win is when the instructor gives you a whole bunch of, basically look up this knowledge. Well, you're all skilled and you all have search engines. I'm not going to ask you to look up knowledge. Why? What's the point of that? And I think test one really showed, by the way, that, just because you have access to a computer and, you can try out code and stuff, that didn't necessarily help people with their writing their Ruby code, for example. You still had to figure out the algorithm. And so there's a bit there that the open book doesn't just make it easy. Okay, so be prepared in that regard. All I can do is say, test two will be similar to test one. All right. Okay. Then after you do your test two, then you're into this final project. We will actually strive to have the whole entire project out on July 23rd. If we can't do that, we'll give you on 23rd the part one, which is due in a week, and then when you get that turned in, we'll give you part two to work on. But I actually hope that we'll be able to give you the whole thing on July 23rd. And it's set up so that you have 1 week here, 2 weeks, but this is into your final exam week and you've got final exams. So what does this really mean for you? What it really means is, and this is why I hope we get it out on the 23rd for you, is that you really should try to get it done before the final exam period. With the heads up that we know that students working on sort of this part two portion of it actually spend a very long time on this, easily spending somewhere between 20 to 30 hours. That's for students who do the complete project. The project is actually designed so that it has it's scaffolded so you can work and you can know as you work along how many points you've earned. And there's even a bonus. And so for the students who go for the bonus is not easy at all. They end up spending considerable time trying to achieve those bonus points. A lot of students do not achieve the bonus points. So I wouldn't plan on earning bonus points, by the way. But yeah, so you're going to want to, when it comes out, actually probably be prepared to dive into it. it's a serious endeavor. It's basically, we're going to explain to you an entire application and its functionality, and you go from that to building your ERD, your schema, all your migrations, your models, then all your controllers and your views, and you build a complete application in Rails and turn all that work in. Success rate last year was quite good. I hope this. I assume the success rate this year should be good as well. All right. So that's looking at that. But then it brings up this question, like, so yeah, I'm going to talk about forms in Rails. What about the rest of the lectures? I know from your perspective, you're like, well, wait a minute. We're going to have this stuff on test 2. Then you're going to do the final project, and that's on the Rails. Wait a minute. You going to test me on any of this other lecture content? You know, if we were in person, it'd be that type of thing that we'd see attendance probably drop off, and it would be for additional interesting material, and a small set of students would attend because it's interesting. But here I go and I record it. I think even the best students under all this time pressure are going to be like, I'll come back and I'll watch it like on co-op whenever, you know, like it's going to be there. Why do I need to watch it now? Because I don't need to watch it to get the course done. So I'm potentially, if I do make additional lecture content, I'm in the position where the way the course is set up, because there's no final exam then to like test you on it, there is very high probability you're not going to watch the material and learn the material. So there's a really good question of whether it should be done or not. If I choose not to do it, what I would do is basically switch over into a mode of really trying to help you as you dig and work on your project or studying for test 2 and things along those lines. You know, let's set up these meetings, appointments with me, try to get some help, ask lots of questions on Campus Wire, so forth and so on. The amount of questions on Campus Wire this year have been a lot less than last year. Last year there weren't normal lectures, and so I think students felt they understood that, yes, I got to get help and everything from the professor. Maybe if I didn't actually provide any lecture content and made that explicit to you, that would help you, and we'd be able to get you lots of help then there. So that's something I'm thinking about, open thought there for you. So as I started off, course feedback. Yeah, earlier in the term, I received some course feedback collected by the class reps. Thank you. It was very interesting. It actually didn't tell me anything that I didn't actually already know about the course based upon how it went last year, even though I've tried to make changes to it this year to improve it, because still some of the fundamental things that generate complaints from students still exist. One, hey, your course takes so much more time compared to other courses. And you know, not all courses are the same. You know, you wouldn't expect every course to be the same. Some courses teach different things. They're going to have homework that's different and so forth. This is a software class, and a very large portion of this course is what's known as engineering design. And so to do engineering design, you actually have to do work. And we actually give a huge amount of your grade for all that homework and project work that you're doing. And so it's going into that grade and that mark. Yes, I strive to try to keep it reasonable, but that doesn't mean it's not going to be more than other courses. All right, there's going to be a range across all your courses. Some are more, some are less. On average, hopefully it all works out correctly. I do try to keep it reasonable, It may not seem that way, but it should. If you're able to get help with things, you should be able to still get things done in a reasonable amount of time. It doesn't mean you get it done as fast as your other courses, because I have no control over what those professors are doing, okay? But I know for this course and for regular university expectations, and especially if you want to properly learn software, you actually have to build it. You have to do it. You have to do that work to learn those skills. It's not all just about book studying, which, by the way, we saw for test one, that sure, book studying and testing, was that really effective or working? Perhaps not. So, anyways, so I know that, and we've tried to make the course reasonable. It's still under refinement, but it is improved from last year, by the way. I know these lectures, they have not come out, oh, they're all delivered on the same day like some professors are able to do, or they don't even come out regularly Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or something along those lines. It's something that I have really struggled with. My apologies. This week even I'm dragging. I was lucky enough to be able to get in and get the second dose of the vaccine, so I'm tired, I'm exhausted, but I'll try to catch up and get you your Forms and Rails lectures. So I know that. I apologize for that. And I know the other really big thing, and it's really frustrating to you, it's really frustrating to me, is how long it's taking for homework to get delivered, returned to you. There's several reasons for that. I think the biggest, probably core reason is the pandemic and the difficulty it is for the TAs to be working remotely and that sort of things. It slows them down. Also, not all of our TAs are super experienced, and they're still learning how to be TAs. I'm trying my best to help them. Lexa is working with them. Lexa is a very experienced TA. So we're trying our best to help everyone manage this course and do a good job. And I apologize sincerely for the delaying the homework getting back to you. I know how upsetting that is to you. Again, hopefully we'll get even more of it back in time before test 2. And I said, for example, last week, oh yeah, I'm going to solicit feedback from you, and I still haven't done that. That falls under the overwhelmed with everything that's on top of me right now. My apologies. I still will aim to try to get some feedback from you in addition to what you submit for the course feedback. All right, so that's basically where we are and where we're going. I don't know if you find these overviews helpful or not, but I find, for me personally, sort of setting the scene and talking through it with you, at least for me, it's useful to have a sense of where things are going. All right, great.